all my wonderful Reborn Artists. It's Paige here for a video. Today's video we're going to be doing primary colors on our reborn baby. This is a really cool technique and I think you should give it a try. So what you need is odorless thinner, and then we're going to start with reds. So half a tablespoon of the odorless thinner in a flour pellet. We're going to take our red and just use our 1/2-inch mop brush. We've got these primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, that we're going to make our first flesh tone colors with. And it's really actually a really cool technique. I think that you'll really enjoy this tutorial. So the first thing we're going to do is just touch the very tips of our 1/2-inch mop brush in our red, and notice that it's just touching the very top of the bristles, and then we're going to mix that into our odorless thinner. If anything, this technique that I'm about to show you will just make you say, wow, I cannot believe it myself, to tell you the truth. It's so cool. So paint your paint onto your chorus sponge. This sponge I got in a reborn kit when I very first started reborning, and I never saw use for these sponges until today. Well, until I started painting this type of babies this way. And you just pounce the sponges onto your baby's vinyl. Just pounce lightly. Okay, I gotta tell you, first of all, with these coarse sponges, the first thing you need to do to get those coarse sponges ready for painting is you need to go soak them in water. Cut your sponge down to manageable pieces first of all, then soak them in water and squeeze all the water out that you can so that they're ready for painting, and then paint your red onto your sponge, and then pounce lightly over your baby's vinyl. This is not a model layer, but it looks like modeling. So it's okay if you overlap a little bit. It's okay if you get those colors on the baby mixed together a little bit, because we're giving our baby depth is what we're doing. We're creating depth on our baby, because your fair skinned babies, they are already like a nice fair skin color, and so we just need to add some depth. The next thing we're going to do is pounce that red onto the arms and the legs. And just pounce lightly, because you don't want to squish too much of the paint color and make it look all splotchy. Just pounce lightly over the baby's vinyl as much as you want. You can do this as much as you want. And the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, will all be added to the baby's vinyl. So when you are finished with this round of colors, the red, yellow, and blue, you need to bake in your new wave oven. And then you need to let it cool for 8 to 10 minutes. And then we're going to do another round of the red and blue layer. So that's your homework in this lesson, is to do 2 to 3 rounds of the red, blue, and yellow layers. Don't get carried away though. If 2 looks good, if you think that she's rosy enough or has enough color to her, then you're pretty much done. Make sure you get under her chin and behind her ears and on her nose and in between her eyebrows and on her ears and her cheeks. her earlobes. Pounce that color everywhere. I think the coarse sponges add a really nice effect. And I believe if you didn't buy the Reborn kit when you first started out, like I did, then you can get these sponges from the dollar store or from the grocery store. Just cut it up into little squares. And I think they're only $2 for a package. And when you're using Genesis heat set paints, your sponges are reusable. So just keep them moist. It's really, really satisfying to be able to pounce the paint onto your vinyl the way I'm doing, because it's so easy to do and you can't make any mistakes. All right, we're going to move on to the arms and the legs with the red sponge layer. As you're pouncing the paint on, make sure there isn't any splotchy spots. Make sure it's blended. You don't want any of the paint to look splotchy. As long as you're pouncing and blending as you go, it should be just fine. And if you need leverage to pounce, go ahead and put it on your puppy pad to get in those nooks and crannies and creases and in the elbow and around, and then put it on your drying rack to flash off or to dry. One little tip for painting your arms and your legs with the red paint is that when you are finished pouncing that paint all over the vinyl, let it air dry before moving on to the yellow. You don't need to bake in between these layers, but you do need to let them flash off or dry to the touch before you add the next color. Otherwise, your little baby's vinyl will turn orange or green. Well, not, yeah, actually, yeah, green, which is fine, but it would be better if you let them dry in between the layers. I'm just going over the baby's head one more time because I wasn't sure I wanted to pounce on the baby's cheeks, but you do need some of that color on the baby's cheeks and on her face and on her eyelids and on the tips of her ears and everywhere. So go ahead and pounce the red all over your baby's vinyl. And then let her flash off and air dry before adding the yellow layer. All right, now time for the yellow. We're going to be using Genesis yellow and just a half a tablespoon of the odorless thinner. So half a tablespoon of that, and just use the tip of your bristle brush to get some paint. I use a clean brush for this because I don't want to mix my red and my yellows together. So use a clean dry brush. And make sure you don't have any yellow on your gloves. I've done that before where I didn't notice that I got a little bit of yellow from the lid, and then I picked up my baby's head and got yellow in a place I didn't mean to put yellow. Very annoying when that happens. So I'm just tapping the tip of my brush, and then it's just on the very, very tipsy tips of your brush, the yellow paint, and then you mix it into your odorless thinner to make your yellow layer. Once you have all that mixed in, you're ready to use a clean sponge or a sponge that has just yellow on it. I mean, you can reuse your sponges, but just as long as you don't use a sponge you've used with a different color. And just paint that on. And it's a little bit, I don't want to say scary, but it's a little bit intimidating to use yellow. So if you feel like the yellow is too bright, then you can add a little bit more odorless thinner, but I didn't, and it was just fine. All right, let's get pouncing. Pounce that all over your baby's head like you did with the red. And as you pounce on your baby's vinyl, make sure that you blend really well and that you're not putting too much color in one spot. And we're just pouncing on the little baby's face, on her cheeks, on her chin and under her chin and on her neck and behind her ears and her nose. The sculpt that I am painting in this tutorial is the baby. Her name is Shanon, and I got her from Irresistibles, and she is a sculpt from Ann Timmerland. So if you want to make a baby like mine, you're welcome to check in the description box below, and there will be a link that I've put there for you so that you can order a kit just like mine if you want. In this tutorial, we'll be doing Shanon all the way to completion, start to finish, and we'll be able to see how she comes together in the end. Will be very exciting and fun to paint together. Now we're going to do her arms and her legs in the same way. Notice how I'm using the tabletop to be able to pounce the top of the foot. It's kind of hard to hold on to your legs as you pounce. So if you need to set them on the table to get some better leverage or better control, it's fine. I'll also link in the description box below where I got all of my brushes and paint supplies. Anything that I'm using in the video will be included in the description box. I'm going to be making chicken scampi for dinner. Olive Garden style chicken scampi. So if you are painting along with me and you want to share what you're making for dinner tonight, put that in the description box below. I would love to hear what everybody's making for dinner, or if it's a Friday and you're getting takeout, if it's Takeout Friday, put that in the box below as well. It's always fun to get to know each other. Also, what sculpt are you working on? If there's a different baby kit that you're working on and you want to share that with everyone, put that in the comments below. I would love to hear all the different kinds of baby kits that everybody is working on. All right, so we're continuing to pounce on our vinyl with the yellow. Some other fun facts about me that I would like to share is that I have two not two chihuahuas, but I have two small dogs. I have a Yorkie, and his name is Gizzybug, and then I have a Chihuahua, and her name is Daisy. Maybe in a future video I will include them in the video so you can see my cute little fur babies. All right, we're starting now with the blue, and the blue is Genesis Blue number 5. But any blue that you have in your kit should be fine as long as it's like a royal blue color or a periwinkle blue. We're just using the same technique, half a tablespoon of the odorless thinner with a touch of the blue. And I'm putting it in, I put my brush in my brush cleaner by accident. So that's not part of the step. So don't do that. Take your brush out, because we're going to be needing our brush to brush the paint onto a clean sponge. A brand new clean sponge. Notice how big the holes are. If you don't want to use this kind of sponge and you have some of those cosmetic wedges, just use your tweezers and create a sponge. It's fine. As long as you have something that's a little bit coarse and has a lot of hole, or more porous. I'm checking my hands to make sure I don't put any blue on my vinyl. And now we're just going to pounce the blue layer on. So I also have 3 children of my own. I have 2 boys and a girl. And a sweet husband that likes to spoil me. He likes to buy treats for me. One of the things that he is often doing is buying chocolate cinnamon bears and hiding them in drawers so that I can find them randomly. It's always such a surprise when I come home and there's a bag of chocolate cinnamon bears in a drawer. Or he buys me red vines. I do love red vines and chocolate licorice. And another fun fact about me is that I live in Utah. I am going to the Rose Expo this summer in June, I believe. So I'll have to make a video about that. The Rose Doll Expo. If you're going to be going to the Rose Doll Expo, comment in the comments below. It would be fun to see how many. Notice how I am using the back of my sponge to blot the blue, because blue, for some reason, the blue is very pigmented and I don't want any blue splotches on my baby's vinyl. So I'll pounce the color on with the sponge, and then I'll use the other side of the sponge. I'll use the other side of the sponge to blot some of the blue off. I'm also using the table again to support the baby's limbs so that I can pounce on my baby's limbs. And make sure you wear vinyl gloves when you're painting. You don't want to get your hand oils or anything on your baby's vinyl while you're painting. Also, it keeps your hands from getting paint on them as well. So it's very helpful. Other fun things that are going on right now is that it is springtime and the daffodils are blooming outside. And in Utah, I don't know where you're from, but in Utah, we have gotten a lot of snow this week. Even though it's spring, we're getting lots and lots of snow. I think we got like 2 to 3 inches the other day. All right, continue to pounce your blue on your arms if you started with your legs like me, and get on the fingers and on the palms of the hands and on her wrist. Comment in the comments down below if you also got snow this spring. It's just crazy when you think it's springtime and then you get dumped on. Even though I know we do need the water. All right, we're just finishing up our little baby dolls or reborn babies. Put your limbs on the drying rack to air dry or flash off, and when they are done drying, then put them in your new wave oven and bake at 265 degrees for 8 minutes, and then let them cool before you go on to the next step. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.